Let's go through them slowly. When you're trying to get new customers to buy new products, we call that a greenfield strategy. I'll use the word greenfield. Means nobody's been there, nobody's done it the first time, right? So when we look at those numbers, let me go to a different color here. Your revenue potential is up to 3%. In other words, your revenues can grow up to 3% if you go after new customers with new products. If you look at going after new customers with existing products, well, you can probably grow your business by 10%. Not bad. This basically tells you that selling existing products is a good thing. Trying to go after new customers with new products is a little more of a challenge and you're not going to get the revenue growth you'd like. Well, what about existing clients, existing customers? What if we tried to sell them existing products? What's the revenue potential there? Well, if you focus on existing customers trying to sell them existing products, in other words, upsell them, you're looking at a potential of growing your business up to 15%. Wow, not bad. But even better, that if you look at existing customers and you look to sell them new products, you can grow your revenue up to 25%. Now, this is great news here, because what we're really saying is by focusing in on existing clients, you can actually increase your revenues faster. Now, I'm not saying that you should ignore new customers, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you're looking at where to grow your market the fastest, where to get revenue quickly, and with higher probability rather, you want to look at your existing customer base. Now, we've all heard the saying that, and it goes something like this. It says it's 6 times cheaper to keep a client than to go out and get a new one. Now, that number is probably outdated because if you add the internet effect to today's market, it's harder to get a client. I would argue that that's probably maybe, 20 to 25 times cheaper to keep a customer than it is to get a new one. It's hard to get new clients today. So we really need to take care of our existing client base. So when we're looking at revenue growth, here's where we want to focus, revenue growth. Now, again, I'm not saying don't go after new customers, because when we're looking at expanding our market share, which is market share growth, we have to find new clients to sell them our existing products and our new products, okay? Now, keep this in mind, that this really does make sense when you think about it, because we've all heard the Pareto Principle, right? 80% of your revenues come from 20% of your clients. Right? The 80-20 rule, okay? Even though it's a little distorted, that's how people use it today. In other words, if you have 100 clients, products, well, you have probably grow your business by 20%. Of those clients generate 80% of your revenue. So this really ties into this right here. It makes sense. Let's take care of our existing customers, because guess what? It's cheaper to keep them than to go out and get a new one. And again, this is where we're going to see revenue growth. Now, again, we want to expand our market share, so we need to kind of, as managers, figure out how we want our sales to invest our time. This basically tells you that we should do something like this. How about 75% of our time we spend on our existing clients, trying to get them to buy more of what we have or more of our new products, and maybe spend 25% of their time trying to actually acquire new clients. Again, these are different revenue growth strategies to consider, and just wanted you to look at this because I think it's important to map out, if you want to grow your market, we need a focused strategy. So when you're talking to your salespeople, I think you should use something like this to really highlight where the real potential is when it comes to hitting their number. But again, let's not ignore the pipeline, what we need for next quarter or next year. This is Victor Antonio, always reminding you, selling ain't hard when you know how. Take care.
Every manager can feel it. The difference between a motivated, value-driven sales team and one that's stuck in a rut. CEOs know the difference too. They can see it clearly in the profit and loss columns. The question is, how do you get your team to this elite level? Is there something extra you can do to break through the remaining resistance and equip them with the right mindset to grow your business? Yes, there is. But you're not going to do it with one of those cheesy inspirational speakers or some self-proclaimed guru. What you need is someone with a real business track record to deliver key insights in a captivating way, to give your team the right tools for selling in today's tough marketplace. Enter Victor Antonio, experienced executive, innovative thinker, compelling speaker. He's ready to deliver the message you need your people to hear, not with a canned speech, but a customized, dynamic keynote designed to deliver results. Bring Victor Antonio to your next event before the competition does. Go to www.victorantonio.com for more information.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see more people are joining. Really excited to be having you all on the day 6 out of our 8 days of the Echo Business program. We have our next speaker on standby. I'm really very much excited about Connie. I have been a blessing from her work and her strategies, and I have no doubt at all that this session will be very insightful for all of you. So for those who are joining, please sit tight and relax. Introduce yourself on the chat room that we have. Tell us who you are, where you're joining us from. And also probably what your expectations are for today's session. Once again, we've been running this session for 6 days now. I can't believe it. It's been very exciting for the entire team. We've learned so much from all of our speakers. Even our last speaker, Dr. Bruce, spoke about the principles of entrepreneurship, and he shared so much nuggets that I'm sure that all of those who joined the session have something to go home with. This next session is one that I think that you all need to sit in the top of your seat if you really are looking to increase your sales, because Connie has been doing this for years now. She's been working with some top organizations across different parts of the world, and I know that you all will learn one or two from the session today. Let me just go on with giving you a little bit brief about who Connie Smith is. Connie Smith was born in Pareto, but has lived and worked in over 15 countries around Africa. She completed her secondary school education in Scotland and her MBA in human geography at the University of Edinburgh, and has over 18 years experience in selling and building sales team strategies and tools. Her core business is providing sales and leadership support to socially minded businesses in an ethical, affordable, sustainable, and collaborative way. Over the past 5 years, she has helped over 25 African organizations in the water and sanitation and health, solar, agriculture, telecom, social enterprises, nutrition and sports, and tech startup sectors, focusing most of her engagements between London and Africa. And she has been invited to deliver public engagements and run workshops across of these areas. So without further ado, please let's give our virtual hands for Connie as she take over the presentation. Welcome, Connie. We're really excited to have you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chi-Chi, for the warm introduction. For everyone that's online today, I met Chi-Chi a long time ago in a world where we could hug and shake hands and, and do that. And we met in Ethiopia at the World Social Enterprise Forum. So it was a really great week that we spent networking. So I wanted to firstly thank Chi-Chi and also Juliet for all of the hard work that you've both taken, and the whole of your team that I haven't met yet, to organize this week in partnership with MasterCard and Waste and Create. But I am really excited about Circular Place and what it has to offer. And the reason for that is, in my almost 2 decades, 20 years of working in sales, a lot of my success is attributed to networking, to actually meeting lots and lots of people who then connect you with other people and who open up opportunities. And I see Circular Place as this huge opportunity to network. And for people who are attending today, I would recommend not just networking at one-off events like conferences at seminars, but put yourself in places where you see the same people again and again and again. And seeing those people regularly gives you guys the chance to get to know each other and really support each other in growing your businesses. So thank you everyone who's been able to join the call today. And for those that weren't able to join, that will be watching the recording later, welcome. I'm going to start sharing my slides, if that's okay. Perfect. So let's do presentation mode. Please jump in and stop me if my network fails. You wouldn't believe it, but the network in London is worse than it is in Ghana. And I've had lots of trouble this week, so please jump in and stop me if the connection stops. So for those of you who haven't guessed, my name is Connie Smith, and I've worked in the sales sector or within sales for almost 20 years, between 18 and 20 years, I'm not counting. And what I've focused my skills on is sales and leadership consulting. So I work with socially minded businesses. You might have heard Chi mention that. Does anybody that's on the call today want to volunteer and guess for imaginary brownie points what socially minded means, or what does it mean to you? I don't know if Joe
You
or
can just unmute yourself and answer, or you can virtually raise your hand and you'll be given the opportunity to speak. So please, yes, thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
hi, this is
Hi,
Effie.
Effie.
Hi Connie, hi Chichi. I'm assuming socially minded businesses are those that take their customer responsibility, or your CSR, your customer social responsibility, as something that is important. You know that there are people who depend on you and people who are around you, not depend necessarily, but you're giving a service, and therefore the people who are your end users should also be considered in whatever you kind of like do, whatever your business is, I think.
Absolutely. You're spot on. That is one of the things that makes an organization socially minded. They care about their customers and they care about their customers' well-being, and they often design their products to be customer-centric. So definitely the responsibility around the well-being of your customers. I also take it a step further, and I like to work with organizations that care about their own people. So internally, the people that they are employing or contracting or working with, to make sure that they have their best interests at heart as well. So whether that's offering protective gear, whether that's training them, whether that's giving them a career path, treating them like human beings, essentially. I also like working with socially minded businesses like the ones here today, which have an eco aspect. So do you know what I mean by that? Go ahead, Effie, you can answer this again.
Sorry, what's the question? What do you think?
So I work with organizations that care about their own people, that care about their customers. And then if they have an eco aspect, that's even better. What else would I want them to care about?
Keeping it green, taking care of the
environment.
Planet.
Yes. Absolutely, yeah, spot on. This small earth that we live in, and looking after that as well. So that is another bonus. So those are the kinds of companies that I have worked with over the last few years. So I'm really excited to be invited to work with Circular Place on this eco platform. But over the last 20 years of my career, that wasn't the case. I worked in corporate London. I sold books door to door in America as a student. I've worked in investments. I've worked in property. I've worked in technology. And about 6 years ago, I decided to set up my own consultancy and become self-employed and find a way to start working back in Africa and to work in the emerging markets with socially minded businesses. So some of the organizations you might recognize are on here. And I've worked all the way from Namibia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, through to Uganda, Kenya, and Ghana and Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire. So you can maybe see some organizations like, let's see, Farmer Line is in Ghana, IDE. I flew into Tamale during Hammertan. That was very fun. I know Safe Water Network and Water4 also operate in Ghana. So that's just to name a few. So it's industry agnostic. There's some solar, there's some water, there's some agriculture, some tech, clothing, sanitary, towels, sportswear. So now the question is, how do I support businesses and why am I sort of here today? What I do for organizations is I help them first by figuring out the problem is, because you can't solve a problem unless you know what that problem is. I use the analogy of going to the doctor. If you were to go to the doctor, have an appointment and turn up, and the doctor was to prescribe you medicine straight away without asking what was wrong, you would be a bit suspicious. Would you not? And so what I do is I work with organizations to help them better understand their own problems in a way that maybe they haven't seen them before. So I interview their customers, their internal staff, interview them and help them diagnose that. And then the next stage is design and strategy, which is very collaborative. So helping them to find frameworks and strategies to solve those problems and long-term and sustainably. I also deliver workshops and training. So that can be on soft skills, on particular topics that are required. So not every, there isn't one fits all. So there's not take it off the shelf and give it to FA and that's going to work for Chi and that's going to work for IDE. Every organization is different. And then the most critical part where the magic happens is embedding. So these processes can be taken internally by a company. You can do your own diagnostics, come up with your own strategy, deliver your own workshops and training, but importantly, most importantly is embedding. Does anybody want to volunteer why embedding and coaching is so important? Let's see who else we have on the call that I can pick on. I don't know if Joe is available to mute, unmute even.
Hi, Connie. Sorry, I was typing, introducing myself. Could you repeat the question about embedding?
Yeah, I was just saying, why do you think it's so important that after a person, an organization, individuals receive training or workshops, that they then go on to do embedding? If you don't understand what embedding is, do you know what embedding is? I should ask that first.
You could clarify a bit too.
Okay. Embedding is to basically reinforce, let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. So after the training, you want to make sure that the training is actually used. So that would be embedding.
Okay.
Putting it into the organization, planting the seeds really deep and allowing those to continue to grow and flourish. So my question was, why do you think that is so critical?
Why do you think that you don't miss it?
Sorry?
I think it's critical because it's easy for people to get the training, get all excited, but when they get back to the organizations and they see the realities that they are confronted with, it's easy for them to put all that training aside and slam back into business as usual. So I think embedding kind of gives them the impetus or becomes that nudge to get the trainees to implement what they've learned and to also to make it very real and practical for their particular organization or business.
Joe, are you trying to take my job?
No.
I couldn't have said it better. That's excellent. That is exactly why you want to be embedding. I don't know if you remember ever being at university and going through lectures. Or if you've ever gone to a training course, you're sitting there writing it down, being like, this is so great. In fact, I already know this, and I'm definitely going to go away and use this. And then 2 weeks might go past, maybe 6 months, a year, and you'll come across your notes and you'll be like, oh yeah, I've not used that. And it's very common, and the scientific research has shown that people only use about 20% of what they learn. Wow. So the idea with embedding is it gives you a much better chance of using the tools, and coaching allows you to actually use the tools over time, to practice, get it wrong, and to try again. That's the other thing that is in human nature, is if we try something and we fail as children, we have the ability to just look past it, be in the present moment and try again. So whether that's riding a bike, learning to walk, but as adults, you'll notice that if we decide we failed at something, we'll often not do that again. or we'll try it differently. So embedding gives you the chance to sustainably build those changes and the transformation needed long term to build the habits, if you like.
Right.
And the last area, thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you.
And the last area that I support in is talent acquisition. So some entrepreneurs here that are running their own businesses can testify that one of the hardest things for CEOs, not just in Africa, but all over the world, is finding the right people to help them grow their businesses. So talent acquisition is an area that I help based on my networks and support. So the question then is, how can I help today? So today's workshop is going to focus on the human-centric side of selling. So not so much on all of the tools and processes, but what are the small things that you can individually change to make an impact in your business, specifically with your people. So I'll kickstart you with your own diagnostics that you can go away and do yourselves. I'll highlight the main challenges that I've seen in the 30 or so organizations that I've worked with. And then I'll offer you a framework that you can start to apply right away and start using, and will hopefully help you. And then I'll answer any questions that you might have. So I hope that works for everybody today.
Sure.
So let me start off by asking everyone that's on the call and those listening to this recording to grab a pen, or if you're Joe and you're typing, go ahead and type this directly onto your computer. But let's get those pens and papers down ready for this exercise. I hope you don't mind. You don't get to sit back and just watch on this one. It's going to be as experiential as possible. So let's see. First thing to write down, as your organization, where are you now? So what I mean by that is if you have your company, and if any of you want to volunteer to share, please go ahead and put your hand up or just unmute and share your feedback. But it's very important to be honest with yourself. So when you think about where are you now as a business, what is your financial performance? What are your profits? What's your market coverage? Are you just in Accra? Are you just in Ghana? What's your conversion rate? Have you been tracking numbers? So are you closing 20%, 10%, 50% of the business? That's really important to know. Another thing you could say or think about when I ask the question, where are you now, is what are your customers saying about the business or about your products or about your service? And what are your salespeople saying? So you could be looking at your turnover, your goals. I just spoke to somebody this morning who said that they would like to be one of the most forward and progressive businesses in Africa. And that aligns with the use of technology, platforms, the way they handle incoming calls and customer queries and customer service. But I said to them, that's where you want to be, but where are you now? And that's really important to understand. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to write down maybe 3 or 4 main things about where you are now. Hopefully these bullet points can help you answer that. If anyone has any questions about that, please just raise your hand or unmute and ask.
Okay, just to be able to put a little bit of context, I'm 100% in this session, so please consider me a participant. Just to be able to get clarity, when you talk about where are we now, are we talking about numbers? Are we talking about, like you talk about market coverage? Is it in specifics or more like where we want to go or where we are now with that? I know you mentioned being honest. And also like for some businesses, like you can't tell what your customers are saying now, right? Neither can you tell what your salespeople say. So can you give a little?
So these are really good questions.
Yeah.
So these are really good questions, Chi-Chi. So yes, the more specific, your first question is how specific do you need to be? Do you need to have the data? I would say yes. The reason for that is, as business owners, you really want to know this data for yourself, because if you don't know where you are now, then you don't know what it's going to take to get where you need to go. So we're only focusing on where we are now, not where you want to go, but where you are now. And this information is not for me. So don't worry, you don't have to share it with anybody. But you want to know what your turnover is right now. You want to maybe know how many people have you got working for your business? Is it 2, 3, 4? Is it just you, the one? Chi mentioned you don't know what your customers are saying. And that is actually one of the things I want to raise as a challenge for an organization, is if you don't know what your customers are saying, that's a blind spot for you. And blind spots are not good. So you want to understand how best to serve your customers. You really want to spend some time doing market research, speaking to people that are not your customers yet, and what do they think about your product. Then you also want to speak to your customers who are happy and who are unhappy. Customers that have been with you for a long time since the beginning, or customers that have just joined you. And you want to understand, how do they feel about your service, your product? What are you doing well? What are you not doing well? What are the changes they'd like to see you make? How can you serve them better? What other products would they buy from you? And understanding that is really important. So if you don't know it, then I would say where you are now is you have a gap in your knowledge about what your customers are saying. So you can just write that down.
Okay, so I'm sure that quite a number of the participants here know it, and some really are working, like probably are looking at how they can develop it. So that's why I asked. Yeah, so for those of us who know it, you can probably share and give us, maybe that will give some of us a little bit of context, to determine where we are now.
Feel free for anyone to share what they'd like to share about where they are now. But again,
So
these are
always,
also. Oh, go
hi,
ahead.
sorry, it's Effie again. Since everybody's being quiet, I'm not quite sure if I'm on the right track, but I will just start so that everybody else can get a feel of where it is. So I do 2 or 3 businesses, and I'll say that for my particular entrepreneurship journey, I'm trying to, I'm taking a career curve into my coaching now. And if you did ask me financially where I am, I would probably say 0, trying to still find out how best I can get paying customers who want to come in. I do a lot of pro bonos at the moment. Market coverage, I'm gaining quite a bit. I would say within Nigeria and Ghana, I've had clients, and I've also had clients in Australia, because that's where I did where I learned from. So I have some colleagues that I worked with, and I've worked with them a bit. Conversion rate, that one, I'm not quite sure. That was, can you take me back again?
Perfect. Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Conversion rate is how many, for example, leads are turning into viable prospects, or how many prospects are converting into paying clients, or clients. In your case, they may not be paying, but they're clients.
Okay.
So how many people do you need to speak to get a client?
Okay, so in that respect, I can say that that's going, let's say it's a 50%, because I do have a lot of leads, and in recent times, I would say in the past month or so, that has kind of like risen. So that's on a good track. My customers so far are happy. They're what's the word? They're content. They're happy. They're satisfied. But
you're getting great feedback.
Getting great feedback. So that's not where the problem is. But my salespeople, which will be me, is where there's a bit of trying to. I think I need to be more assertive and get people to understand the value of what they're getting, so that we could make it, then see the profits financially. So yeah.
Perfect. That's really clear. Thank you so much for sharing that, Efe. So what basically, in summary, if I'm playing it back to you, you're saying that at the moment you're struggling as a salesperson, the CEO, and the business doing your coaching, to sell the value of what you offer. And so you're able to do a lot of pro bono work, and people have really great feedback, but it's that stepping stone of knowing how you get people paying for your service?
Yes.
Okay. That's fantastic. And your conversion rates sound really good where you're speaking to 10%, say, so you're looking at 10 people, sorry, 50%. So out of the 10 people you speak to, 5 will become clients, for example.
Hi, sorry, I'm just a bit, I have a child here who's distracting me, so.
Multitasking.